Okay, I am. Oh, that's gonna be a lot of background noise. I'm leaving my oncologist appointment. This was the first appointment since the chemo regimen ended, and since I've had surgery. So it's been about 2 months so far since I've seen my oncologist, and so just leaving that appointment. Things are, good overall. It's just still a lot. Wants me to be on a chemo medicine. What's it called? Xeloda. For about 6 months. So they send that down to the specialty pharmacy, and somebody will contact me to let me know, I guess, where I pick it up at and what it's going to cost and all that good stuff. So have that. Actually going to continue with the Keytruda as well while I'm doing the Xeloda. Doesn't sound like it's a lot of research about it, but it is something that he wants to do. And so I'll be doing Xeloda and Keytruda over the next however many months. So yeah, the positives though, a lot of positives. The tumor, I think I've said that before. The tumor had shrunk significantly. The nodes were negative. Praise God. I tolerated everything fine, so they believe that I will tolerate the Xeloda fine as well. I believe that I will as well. Like, I'm not even concerned about that. I think I said that at some point. Like, I'm not worried about that part. I think the most, like Cedric was asking, how was I feeling? And as I'm processing it, as I'm talking about it, I think it's just the busyness of it that I'm kind of like, oh gosh, because I am still going to be, doing something, still coming back for appointments, which, I mean, I knew that was going to happen, but just hearing it is just like, okay, one more thing to do. But I understand that that's what is necessary to complete the process. I also will be following up with the radiation oncologist this week as well. Nose was negative. Now he is the second doctor to say that I don't fit the criteria for radiation, but he wants that to basically come from the person that deals with that, the radiation oncologist. And so I'll see him on Thursday to go through that and what his recommendation is. But yeah, that's that. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, that's it. Did well. I was in there confused a lot of stuff they were saying, but I'm glad she studies and I'm here for support.
Yeah, I had a lot of questions. I asked a lot of questions, and so the train is moving.
Yep, keep it going. So husbands out there, a lot of appointments, but we got to be there.
Yep. And I'm supposed to get foot massages.
Oh yeah,
every day on this medication.
I gotta work on my hands.
So that's a plus because my feet already hurt.
Yeah, I know, right? Nah, it's a must do. Let's do it. Okay.
All right, thank you guys. All right.
So you did fantastic. Still had a little bit of tumor left, not much. It was a T1B, which is less than 2 centimeters, really less than 1.5. So pretty small amount of tumor left. The nodes were all negative. Mastectomy margins fine. I don't think there's going to be a role for radiation here, just so you know. I just kind of want my radiation guys to bless that. Okay. Only because you had 2 areas, and in one respect on the MRI is like 5 centimeters of totality.
Right.
And again, that's generally not how we think about it, but I just want them to look at everything and make sure that there's no role for post-mastectomy radiation. Okay. I don't think there will be, but I just want to check the box.
Right.
And then in terms of what do you do now, you're kind of done with all the heavy lifting. There is a role for a pill called Xeloda. There's a couple of studies that have looked at Xeloda or capecitabine in the adjuvant fashion after neoadjuvant for triple negative breast cancer who had residual disease at the time of surgery.
Okay.
And this is a pill. You take it twice a day, 14 days on, 1 week off.
Okay.
14 days on, 1 week off. And we'll do that for 6 or 8 rounds. And then that'll do it. Because I don't think there's going to be any radiation coming your way, but I want them to just check the box on that. I'm going to go ahead and plan on you starting Xeloda, whenever, Monday. Just pick a day, next Monday.
Okay.
14 days on, 1 week off, 14 days on, 1 week off. And if we can do 6 or 8 of those, it'll kind of put a bow on it. It's a pretty well tolerated drug. Most all investigators use 1,000 milligrams per meter squared versus 1250. 1250 is a lot and probably too much, and it's pretty hard on people. 1,000, they do pretty well on it. There are some side effects, just like with anything, but most people just sail right through it. The side effects, and you'll get a little information on it, but the side effects, the biggest one is probably diarrhea, potentially, and we can dose adjust if we need to. Mouth sores, again, potentially, and we can dose adjust. You may notice, and you may have already had this happen with some chemo, but sometimes the lines in your hands will get a little bit darker.
Well, my whole hand got darker, actually.
Yeah,
and it's just lightening back up.
Yeah, and
my
it'll
feet
get
did
dark
too.
again.
Okay. And I also,
Oh, glasses.
I also had these little, what can I
Dry
say?
patch.
Yeah, it weren't even a patch. It was like a dry blister, if that could be a term, that would just crust and peel. So that's what these little white
I see them. Yeah,
pigmentations are.
yeah. It's just some of the weirdness of all this stuff. But Xeloda's, it'll definitely get in the skin.
Okay.
And so we use it actually to treat skin cancer because it's got good penetrance. So you'll notice that, the lines get a little darker, but again, once you're done, it'll fade away just you might have a little bit of a low white count, which I know is, we've had a little bit of some issues with your counts through the course of all this. So just be aware of that.
Okay.
But you're not going to be severely immunosuppressed or anything like that.
Okay.
And then what we do is generally we just, have you come in every 3 weeks for a quick blood test.
Okay.
And how are you doing? So you're almost there. It's always a drag saying you got one more thing to do.
Yeah.
But it's an 11% improvement over doing nothing.
Okay.
So it's not subtle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we do that and you're going to be great.
And then will I continue with the Keytruda as planned as well, or?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of data with all that, the two mixtures, but
okay.
I kind of wouldn't mind doing it for a little bit. We don't have a study that says, keep the Keytruda going along with the Xeloda. I kind of feel like you should.
Okay.
And we'll just see. If you run into any issues, we'll reassess. You're in a really good spot. That's what you really need to take home today.
Okay.
This is sort of just doing everything possible type mentality. But the risk benefit ratio starts to go down. So if you start running into issues, we're going to pull out.
Okay.
That kind of thing. So, but I feel like you'll be fine with it. I think that's it.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I had a few.
Oh, you are well. I don't do a lot of blood work, scans, but I'll see you every 3 or 4 months, and you'll see it's a rigorous exam. We gotta get through the capecitabine stuff, but then it's kind of I'll pound your back and shake you around a little bit, and you'll see it's a very Usually people think I'm giving them a back massage and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm looking for is illicit signs. And then with this type of breast cancer, usually years 2 to 3. Like if you get past about 3.5, 4 years, it ain't coming back because it's a real fast growing tumor.
Okay.
So if it's going to come back, it's going to come back
And you're going to see it. It's
in
not
the
gonna
first
sneak
couple
up.
of years.
Yeah.
It's not something like 6, 7, 8 years from now. It's not going to come back. Like it'll come back in the first few years, and that's why we see you every 3 or 4 months, and we're just kind of examining you. But again, we don't do a lot of blood work, and we don't do scans unless you have a problem.
Okay.
If you have a problem, we're gonna look.
What's the rationale?
Because we find a lot of red herrings, a lot of rabbit holes. You know, everyone's got something wrong with them.
Yeah.
And but you now have a diagnosis of cancer. And so if you do a scan of your liver and you got a little ditzel on there, a cyst or whatever, it's going to go in the radiology report, could be cancer. Now, you know, you're going to want to know what that is.
Right.
And me sitting here telling you this, I don't know, it's probably not cancer, that's not going to cut it. And so then we're going to go chase it with a biopsy. It just leads to a lot of
Further invasive.
yeah, or scan every 3 months, and you get in this vicious cycle. And behind all of that is if we find it somewhere else, it doesn't matter. You're not curable. Like as soon as we document that there's metastatic disease someplace, it doesn't change your prognosis. We may have found it earlier, but you're on a whole different train at that point.
If it's a, yeah, okay.
And then whether we find it when it's this big or we find it when it's this big, doesn't change your prognosis.
Okay.
And that's a hard concept for people to kind of get, you know, to find it early. You found it early, and that's why you're in the curative vein. That's why we're pushing as hard as we can. Because
Right.
we're going for curative intent.
Right.
It's not the same as if it's metastatic.
Okay.
Then it's a quality of life management type thing. It's not. So that's really what underpins the decision to not be scanning people all the time and doing all of that.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay.
You good?
I'm good.
And then, you know, on an MRI, there was like 5 centimeters. I just want the radiation doctor to look at all that.
Yeah.
And I've highlighted in my notes so they'll know why I'm sitting there. And they may say, Stevenson's crazy. and that's fine. I know what I know what I think I know, but sometimes I don't know what I think I might know. I want to make sure that somebody does know.
Yeah.
They don't need to tell me about Zalota. I don't need to tell them about radiation. Okay. We're down in the weeds.
Yeah.
We're in the weeds and need someone who lives in the weeds.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Kobe. What are you doing?
I am sending some shirts that I designed and prayed over to other breast cancer survivors that were huge support systems for me when my journey began.
There we go. 5 out the door.